Once this world had been full of light, cities shining like silver under the twin suns, voices of children echoing between glass towers, and ships rising into the stars every morning. But now everything was silent. The towers lay in dust. The air was heavy with ash. The people had gone. Only Commander Elias Wren remained. He lay half-buried under metal debris, his armor cracked and one arm numb. His helmet display flickered weakly, power cells at 3%. For a long time he didn't move. He simply listened to the silence. The last thing he remembered was holding the defense line while the colony ships lifted off. Alien energy beams had torn through everything. His squad was gone. The command post was gone. And then, darkness. Now, he was alive. Somehow, he took a slow breath. The air tasted of burnt metal. "Suit status," he whispered. The helmet AI answered in a weak, static voice. Warning. Oxygen level critical. Power level low. Recommend evacuation." Elias almost laughed. "Yeah, a little late for that." He pushed away the debris and sat up, wincing. Around him stretched the ruins of Central Plaza, once the heart of the colony. The great fountain lay shattered, its waters turned to steam. He could see the sky through holes in the city's protective dome. Small alien drones floated overhead, their lights cold and blue, searching for survivors, or scavenging whatever technology was left. Elias stayed still. The drones drifted away after a few seconds, not noticing him. Only then did he move again, dragging himself toward the remains of a communication tower nearby. If he could reach it, maybe he could send a signal. Maybe someone out there still listened. It took him hours. His legs felt like stone. Every step was a fight. But Elias Wren had never been the kind of man to give up. Not when people depended on him. Not when there was still something worth saving. When he finally reached the tower, he saw it was half melted, leaning like a dying tree. The power core was gone, but one small emergency terminal still blinked faintly. He connected his suit's cable to the terminal. Static hissed through the line. "Come on," he muttered, adjusting settings, rerouting circuits by hand. "Just once more, Eudora. Give me something." After a few tense minutes, a tiny green light appeared. "Signal active." Elias leaned close. "This is Commander Elias Wren, Eudora 9 Defense Unit, I repeat. Elias Wren, last survivor, requesting confirmation from Human Command." Only static answered. He tried again. And again. Still nothing. He sat back and looked at the black horizon. "Figures," he said softly. "They already left." Then a faint voice crackled through the speaker. Not human, but digital. "Signal received." Elias frowned. "Identify." "I am Leora, the colony's central AI. You are alive." Her voice was weak, almost broken, like an old recording. Elias stared at the terminal. "Barely. Thought you were gone, Leora. I lost contact when the core was hit. My systems are fragmented. I did not expect anyone to return." He smiled sadly. "Yeah, well, I couldn't stay gone. Someone had to make sure the job was finished." "There is no one left to protect," Leora said softly. "I know," he replied. "But maybe there's something left to remember." He spent the next hours helping Leora reconnect fragments of her system. Using what little power remained in his suit, he linked her to a small generator under the plaza. As her voice grew stronger, she began to process data again, maps, defense plans, and archived human memories. Elias walked through the ruins while she spoke to him through his helmet. Her tone was mechanical, but there was something human in her words, a quiet grief that matched his own. "Commander Wren," she said, "you should leave this world. Your survival chances are below 1%. He chuckled. "That's 99 more than I need." Statistically, that statement is incorrect. Good thing I don't work for statistics. He entered an old school building nearby. Desks lay overturned, screens cracked, books turned to dust. On one wall, children's drawings still clung, crayon sketches of stars and rockets. Elias stopped and looked at them for a long time. "They were supposed to grow up under a blue sky," he said quietly. Leora's voice came through his helmet. "They did for a time." He smiled bitterly. "Yeah, for a time." He spent the next few days scavenging what he could: power cells, food packs, tools. Leora guided him through hidden passages, showing him which areas were still safe. He rebuilt a small camp near the communication tower and reactivated a few defense turrets. just in case the alien drones returned. At night, he would sit by the flickering light of a damaged beacon, listening to the low hum of Leora's voice. "Why did you return, Commander?" she asked one evening. Elias was quiet for a long moment. "Because someone had to," he said finally. "They all left, and someone needed to make sure this place didn't die alone." "The colony's purpose is complete," Leora said. "The people were evacuated. The mission succeeded. Not all of it," Elias said. "History matters. What we built here matters. If the aliens come back and erase everything, then we never existed." He stood up and looked at the stars through the broken dome. "I'm not letting that happen." Days turned into weeks. Elias and Leora worked together, restoring fragments of the colony's systems. The old defense grid came online, piece by piece. The power grid hummed faintly again, casting small lights across the ruined city. It was like watching a dead world take a single breath. Sometimes Elias talked to Leora about the old days, about his squad, about his niece who had escaped on the last ship. She was only 9, he said once, while repairing a generator. She used to draw rockets on every wall she could find. Said she'd fly to the stars one day. "Perhaps she did," Leora said. "Perhaps she is watching the stars now, wondering what became of you." Elias smiled faintly. "Then I guess I should give her a story worth remembering." He didn't know how long his body would last. His armor was damaged and his health monitor showed steady decline. But he refused to stop. Each morning he rose and continued his work, sealing reactors, cleaning the air filters, sending signals into the void. No one answered, but that didn't matter. One day, as he climbed a collapsed walkway, his scanner detected movement. Alien drones again, 6 of them, gliding through the ruins. They were searching the area. Elias hid behind a wall and whispered, "Leora, we've got visitors." "I detect them," she replied. "Defensive turrets are ready. Let's give them a welcome." The turrets activated, firing bursts of light into the air. The drones scattered, confused. Elias used the distraction to throw a signal beacon, drawing them away from the tower. He ran back to his base, panting, his body trembling with exhaustion. When the smoke cleared, the drones were gone. Leora spoke again. "You are injured." "Just tired," Elias said, sitting against the wall. "It's nothing. You cannot continue like this forever." "Doesn't have to be forever," he replied softly. "Just long enough." That night, he looked up at the sky again. A single star blinked faintly among the clouds of dust. Maybe a ship, maybe nothing. He raised his hand as if to reach for it. "Leora," he said quietly, "if anyone ever finds this place, tell them what we did. Tell them we didn't run from the dark." "I will," she promised. The wind swept through the ruins, carrying the faint sound of metal shifting, like whispers of ghosts. Elias closed his eyes for a moment. In that silence, he could almost hear his old squad laughing, the colony alive again, children running through the plaza. He smiled. "We held the line," he whispered. "That's all that matters." The last signal tower pulsed softly, sending its faint message into the stars. A heartbeat in the void. Elias Wren stood alone on Eudora 9, surrounded by ruins, but unbroken. He came back when everyone else left, and for now that was enough. The ruins of Eudora 9 stretched farther than Elias had imagined. Each day he moved deeper into the city, discovering parts that had been untouched by fire or alien destruction. Empty streets echoed with the wind, and broken buildings cast long shadows under the twin suns. Dust settled everywhere, as if the world itself had stopped breathing. Yet despite the silence, Elias felt something stirring beneath the surface. Something alive. "Leora," he said, checking the scanner on his wrist. "Any unusual readings today?" "Minimal movement detected," Leora replied. "Energy traces suggest the presence of scavenger drones, though fewer than before. Probability of encounter is moderate." Elias smiled faintly. "Moderate is good enough for me. Let's see what secrets this place is hiding." He moved carefully through a collapsed plaza, climbing over twisted metal and shattered glass. His armor was patched from weeks of scavenging. His boots left dusty prints on the cracked streets. The city felt different now. In the silence, he could hear the echoes of what once was. The laughter of children, the hum of machinery, the voices of people running through the corridors. Elias often paused to listen, imagining them alive again. "Leora," he said after a while, "do you think they'll remember us?" The ones who didn't make it? They will if someone survives to tell the story, she replied. That's why I'm here, he said simply. Someone has to survive. Elias found himself in the central library, a building miraculously intact compared to the surrounding city. Dust coated the floors and books lay in piles, many pages torn or burned. But amidst the ruin, a few terminals still blinked faintly. He knelt down, connecting one of them to Leora's interface. She hummed softly as data flowed through the cables. This is incredible, Elias whispered, scrolling through the archives. Maps, research notes, entire city blueprints. And look at this. Personal logs from the colonists. Shall I restore them? Leora asked. Yes, he said. Every last one. Let the world know what we had here. He spent hours reading the logs. Stories of families, engineers, teachers, and children who dreamed of reaching the stars. Some wrote about their homes, others about their hopes for the colony. Elias felt a mix of sorrow and pride. These were ordinary people, but their courage had kept humanity alive on this distant world. And now, with Leora's help, their memories would survive. A faint sound made him pause. The wind? No, a low mechanical hum, irregular, moving closer. Elias crouched, scanning the streets. 6 drones, smaller than before, glided through the air, sensors glowing blue. They were scavengers searching for anything useful. Leora, we've got company, he whispered. I detect movement. Defensive turrets are operational, though ammunition is low, she said. Better than nothing. Let's give them a little surprise. He sprinted through the ruins, drawing the drones toward his improvised defenses. The turrets activated, sending beams of energy that forced the drones to scatter. One crashed against a broken building, sparks flying. Elias breathed heavily but smiled. Still got it, he said, patting the armor on his chest. Even if the rest of the world doesn't. Weeks passed. Elias worked tirelessly to restore more of the city's systems. He fixed power generators, rerouted energy through broken conduits, and repaired communication arrays as best as he could. Leora's voice became more confident each day, her AI systems gradually regaining strength. Together they became a rhythm, one working, the other guiding, both determined to keep Eudora 9 alive in some form. But Elias knew the work was more than survival. It was about legacy. The aliens had tried to erase the colony, to make it as if it had never existed. He refused to let that happen. One day, while exploring an abandoned industrial district, he stumbled upon a storage facility untouched by fire. Inside were containers of food, water, and medical supplies. He smiled, running his hands over the crates. This will last us a while, he said. And maybe someone else someday. Probability of human retrieval is low, Leora noted. Then let's make it a fair chance, Elias said. Someone deserves it. He spent the next hours setting up protective wards around the facility. Motion sensors, small turrets, and alarm systems. All simple, improvised, yet effective. By the end of the day, he felt a rare sense of satisfaction. For the first time in weeks, the city didn't feel completely abandoned. That night, he sat in the library, reading logs by the light of a flickering terminal. Leora's voice floated softly around him. Commander, your health indicators are declining, she said. I know, he replied. But it's okay. I'm still strong enough to finish what I started. You cannot continue indefinitely. Maybe not, he admitted, but long enough is all I need. He remembered the last time he had seen his niece Mira. She had been 9 years old, waving from the evacuation ship as it lifted off. Her small hand had reached toward him, and he had promised her he would survive. That promise had carried him through everything. The heat, the dust, the pain, and the loneliness. I'm keeping my promise, he whispered, even if it's just to you. As days turned into weeks, Elias began to notice something strange. The alien drones were no longer just scavenging. They were studying him. Small groups patrolled the streets, avoiding the turrets but observing his movements carefully. It was as if they were trying to understand him, to predict his actions. Leora, they're learning, he said. Yes, she replied. Their behavior is unusual, adaptive. They seem hesitant. Good, Elias said with a small smile. If they're hesitant, it means they don't understand us. That gives us the advantage. He began experimenting, setting traps and testing patterns. Each day he became faster, smarter, more aware. He realized something important. The aliens had underestimated humanity. Not because of technology, but because of ingenuity, courage, and the refusal to surrender. For the first time, Elias felt a spark of hope. Not for victory, not for survival, but for humanity itself. One evening, while repairing a communications array, Elias noticed a faint signal in the deep space frequency. Not a human signal, but alien transmissions. He listened carefully. The aliens were planning to return in force, aiming to destroy the planet completely and erase all data. This isn't just about scavenging anymore, he said quietly. They want to wipe us from history. Leora processed the information, her voice calm but precise. Probability of success without intervention is 97%. Action required to prevent total loss. Then we act, Elias said firmly. We don't run. We fight in the only way we can, with our minds, with our story. He spent the next few days preparing. Turrets, sensors, traps, and warnings, all designed to delay the aliens long enough for the archives to be preserved. Leora worked tirelessly beside him, her AI learning, adapting, and even imitating his improvisation. Together they became more than machine and man. They became a team, a last line of defense against oblivion. Late one night, Elias sat by the restored communication terminal. The city around him was silent but alive in small ways. Flickering lights, humming generators, and the low whir of turrets standing guard. Leora, he said, if I don't make it, promise me something. What is your request? She asked. Tell our story. Tell the galaxy what happened here. Tell them that even when everyone left, someone stayed. I promise, she said softly. Your story will survive. Elias leaned back, closing his eyes. The wind carried the faint scent of dust and ash. For a moment he allowed himself to imagine the city as it had been, alive, vibrant, full of laughter and life. And then he smiled. We're not done yet, he whispered. Not by a long shot. The night stretched on. Stars blinked faintly through the cracks in the dome. And somewhere in the distance, alien drones moved, unaware that the human they had dismissed long ago was waiting, prepared, and unbroken. Elias Wren had returned to a world abandoned. He had no army, no reinforcements, no chance of immediate survival. But he had something stronger: hope, ingenuity, and the stubborn heart of humanity. He came back when everyone else left. And for now, that was enough. The days on Eudora 9 had become a rhythm of work and quiet vigilance. Elias Wren moved through the ruins with a purpose now deeper than survival. Every repaired generator, every flickering light, every turret standing watch was a statement. Humanity had been here, and it would not be erased. Leora's voice hummed softly in his helmet. Commander, the archives are nearly complete. Only the final sequence remains to preserve the colony's data in the orbital beacon. Elias nodded. Good. Once that's done, nothing can take this place from the stars. He climbed the broken stairs of the central communication tower. From here he could see the ruins stretching in every direction, metal skeletons of buildings, shattered streets, and the faint outlines of the alien drones he had learned to avoid. The sky burned in the sunset of twin suns, turning the dust into gold. It was beautiful in a strange, broken way. We did well, Leora, he said quietly. You are the one who persevered, she replied. I merely followed your guidance. Elias smiled faintly. We did it together. The orbital beacon had been damaged in the initial attack, but with patience and ingenuity, Elias repaired it enough to send a continuous signal into deep space. It wasn't just a distress call, it was a record. The colony's history, personal logs, scientific research, and memories of its people were stored in the beacon's core, ready to reach anyone who might find it in the distant future. This is more than a signal, Elias said as he connected the final link. It's proof that we existed, that we mattered. Leora's voice was steady. Once transmitted, the archive will persist for centuries. Probability of human retrieval is low, but possible. That's all we need, he replied. Just possible. He activated the beacon and a soft hum began to rise, filling the quiet city. The lights flickered as power flowed through the damaged circuits. Then a beam shot into space, small but steady, a pulse in the vast dark. Elias stood back, watching. Think they'll ever see it? He asked. They may, Leora said. Even if not now, someday someone will. Your story will survive, Elias exhaled. For the first time in weeks, he felt a weight lift from his shoulders. He had fulfilled his purpose. But he also knew this was only the beginning. The aliens would return. The planet was not yet safe. The sound came first as a low vibration in the ground. Then shadows moved along the broken streets. Elias tensed. The alien drones had returned, larger this time, more organized and more dangerous. They've learned, Leora said. Their behavior is strategic. They are attempting to disable the beacon. Not today, Elias said. He activated the turrets he had carefully repaired and positioned small energy nets around the tower. Every corner of the city became a trap. The aliens moved cautiously, scanning, analyzing. Each time they attempted an approach, they were pushed back by an unseen defense, beams of light, magnetic nets, and improvised barriers. Elias moved among them, using his knowledge of the city and ingenuity to stay one step ahead. Hours passed. The twin suns set, leaving the city in twilight. Drones hovered like ghosts, but none could reach the tower. Elias's breath came in heavy gasps, his body aching, but his mind remained sharp. He thought of Mira, of the colonists, of every person who had ever believed in this place. He was not fighting for himself. He was fighting for them. Finally, as the night settled, the drones retreated. Elias watched their lights fade into the distance. For the first time, the city was truly quiet. "We've done it," he said, collapsing against the base of the beacon. "You have done it," Leora corrected gently. "We ensured the preservation of human knowledge. Your courage has guaranteed the survival of history." Elias smiled, feeling the truth of her words. "Then it's enough. For now." Weeks later, far across the stars, a human exploration fleet detected a faint, steady signal. It was weak, almost imperceptible, but it carried a message. A story encoded in the light, full of data, memories, and history. The fleet paused, captivated. Someone had been here long after the colony had fallen. Someone had left a mark in the void. The signal carried voice recordings, images, maps, and logs. The life of a colony erased by war but preserved by one man and an AI. Humanity across the fleet listened, silent at first, then inspired. Stories of courage, ingenuity, and the refusal to surrender filled the ships. "He came back," one officer whispered. When everyone else left, he stayed. And that was enough. The fleet named their flagship Wren's Promise in honor of Elias and his unbroken spirit. Across the scattered human colonies, the story spread like wildfire. Humanity, beaten and scattered, felt a renewed hope. If one man could stand alone, then they could rise again together. Back on Eudora 9, Elias rested in the communication tower. His body was weak. Days of exertion and injury had taken their toll, but he felt no fear. He had fulfilled his duty. Leora's AI systems hummed steadily beside him, keeping the city alive. "Commander," Leora said softly, "the beacon is transmitting. It will continue until it reaches someone." Elias nodded. "Good, that's all I wanted. Are you satisfied?" she asked. He smiled faintly, looking at the ruins bathed in starlight. "More than that. I know we did the right thing. That's enough." He thought of Mira, now likely grown, living among the stars. He hoped she would one day hear this story, understand the courage and sacrifice of those who had come before. And he hoped she would be proud. The alien drones would come again. Perhaps one day humanity would return to Eudora 9 stronger than before, to reclaim the planet. Elias did not fear that day. He had done what was needed. He had survived long enough to preserve the story. For a long time, he simply sat and listened to the hum of the beacon, feeling the pulse of human history traveling across the galaxy. Leora spoke after a while, her voice carrying a rare warmth. "Commander, you have done what few could. The colony will not be forgotten. Humanity will remember." Elias whispered almost to himself. "I came back when everyone else left. And for now, that's enough." The stars above Eudora 9 twinkled in silent approval. The city, though broken, shone with a quiet light. And somewhere far in the distance, a human fleet followed the faint signal, ready to answer the call of history. Elias Wren had stood when all others had fled. He had built a legacy not through victory, but through refusal to surrender. Humanity in that small act had proven itself, clever, resilient, and unbroken. And that was enough.